Today, June 9th, Archangel Michael says, a huge miracle will happen as soon as you listen to this message. Something unexpected is open immediately. The hour has cracked open like a rotten shell, and what was once buried in silence now trembles beneath your very steps. Something old, cursed, and waiting has started to breathe again. It knows your name, it knows your fears, and it has waited in the dark corners of your life for this moment. You thought you left it behind, but it has always followed you in the scentless wind, in the flicker of lights when no one was near, in the dream you forgot but still carried in your bones. There is a shifting beneath your feet, not of earth, but of realms, an unseen rupture in the spiritual terrain beneath your path, and your soul feels it before your mind can grasp it. You walk forward, but your footsteps echo in places they shouldn't, shadowed valleys of betrayal and spiritual ambush now awakened. This movement is not chaos, it is a response, a summoning from forces beyond your control that have watched too long without acting. God says the enemy that smiles close to your face has spoken your downfall in rooms thick with incense and envy, weaving spiritual snares like invisible thorns into your relationships, your peace, your sense of direction. You are not paranoid, you are perceiving what they hoped you'd ignore. You've been kept in a controlled fog, a numbness disguised as calm, while your destiny was being undermined one spiritual thread at a time. There are whispers in the cracks of the night now, voices in languages you've never spoken, yet they call to your spirit with a haunting familiarity. These are not ghosts. These are the leftovers of promises made against you, rituals unspoken aloud, oaths your bloodline never broke. You were not meant to carry them, but still you do, like shackles hidden beneath velvet gloves. The time of that silence is over. Archangel Michael says the ground has been shaken for you because truth is rising like smoke from the ruins of what you thought was real. Someone close has played both sides, offering you peace while handing your name over to things that crawl behind mirrors. This betrayal isn't new, it's generational, a curse clothed in loyalty, passed down like inheritance. And now, it uncoils itself with poison-dripping grace. You felt the dream where your house had no doors, where strangers watched you from the corners, where water rose in your lungs. These weren't dreams. They were warnings. And now, the veil between waking and spirit has grown so thin, even your shadow recoils from it. Your steps are no longer your own, each one is a declaration in the spirit, a call to war, a declaration of inheritance, a beacon of divine rebellion against what was written in chains. A raven landed on the gate today, yes, you saw it. Not with your eyes, but with the deeper vision God has been sharpening. It watched without blinking because it was waiting for you to finally understand. Something is about to be torn open. Something you were never supposed to see. And now that you are close, everything that was hiding must either flee or be devoured by truth. God says this shaking is not to harm you, it is to awaken what was buried inside you when the world taught you to shrink. The miracle begins not when the light arrives, but when the shadows can no longer hide from it. And that moment is now. Even the trees around you have leaned in. The wind has begun to speak differently. The air tastes of iron and judgment, because heaven has noticed. The alliances of your past are breaking, and you'll feel it like ribs cracking open, uncomfortable, necessary, liberating. You'll notice strange silences from people who once held your secrets. That's not coincidence, it's exposure. The masks are starting to melt, and what lies beneath will make you weep or roar. Do not fear the noise that comes. It is the sound of lies unraveling and of dark covenants losing their grip. You are being separated for sanctification, not isolation. What feels like loss is a divine subtraction, an extraction of everything that was never meant to survive your next chapter. Don't try to save what is being judged. Do not mourn the comfort of bondage. You were never called to fit in a place infected by quiet sabotage. What is dying now is a false version of your path, a counterfeit destiny constructed by fear and manipulation. Archangel Michael says the clash has already begun above your head. He has drawn his sword, and where there was once delay, there is now confrontation. The spirits that lingered over your shoulder with hungry eyes are retreating, but not without one last desperate strike. Be alert. That sharpness in the air? That's war. And your deliverance is being purchased in divine blood and unrelenting justice. You are not who you were even yesterday. Every moment forward burns the bridge behind you. Do not look back, nothing back there is yours anymore. The ground is trembling not to frighten you, but to remind the enemy, you have awoken. And when a child of God awakens, kingdoms tremble. You knew them by their smile, by the calmness they offered in the chaos, by the way they held your trust like glass between their hands, but the fire behind their mask was never extinguished, only hidden. They played their part so well that even heaven, for a time, held its breath in silence. But silence is not forgetfulness. And now the heat behind their deception is seeping through the cracks in your peace, burning truth into everything you once doubted. You felt it when they stood too still, when their eyes didn't match their words, when your spirit recoiled though your mind made excuses. There is no room for excuses anymore. The mask has started to slide, revealing not just betrayal, but a spiritual impostor wrapped in flesh and affection. What they gave you was not love, it was a contract, spiritual and binding, designed to siphon your light while speaking your praises. God says what is being uncovered now is not just one person's deception, it's a system of suppression that latched onto your journey early, disguising itself as support. It came in familiar tones, shared dreams, joined prayers. But it always had conditions, always demanded a piece of your voice, always sought to define your worth by how useful you were to their own hidden ambitions. That pattern ends here. They lit candles in your honor while muttering your delay in secret. They celebrated your strength while praying for your weakness. They held your hands while hoping you'd never rise beyond them. What you're feeling now is the divine exposure of a silent saboteur, a soul that feared your becoming so deeply, they decided to wrap chains in compliments. Archangel Michael says the flame has caught their mask now, and it cannot be worn again. This is why your blessing stalled, why certain doors never opened despite your obedience. Someone was feeding your harvest to something dark behind the curtain. The spiritual agreements made in jealousy have now met divine fire. What was done in private will manifest in divine retribution, because the season of patience has ended. The war for your honor has been declared. There is no turning away from this confrontation. It will come not with violence, but with clarity so fierce it will feel like lightning in your lungs. You will see their intentions with terrifying precision, and your silence will be their undoing. You do not have to speak, they will unravel under the weight of their own pretense. When God lifts the veil, the false cannot stand. The room they once held you in, the space of false humility, of emotional control, of spiritual leashing, is burning now. You may feel dizzy, even grieve the illusion, but do not mourn. That was never your home. That connection was never real love, it was a transaction, cloaked in spiritual language and codependent comfort. They needed you afraid. They needed you uncertain. You were a well they kept drinking from while praying it would dry. This fire is purifying, not punishing. The betrayal, as deep as it cuts, is proof of your transformation. You are no longer blind to the parasite dressed as kin. You are no longer willing to negotiate with spirits that feed on your silence. God says this fire is not to destroy you, it is to cauterize the wound so nothing infected can enter again. You are being sealed, spiritually, for what comes next. Archangel Michael says he has released a judgment wind into your atmosphere. It will feel like sudden changes, shocking turns, relationships collapsing overnight. But these are not losses, they are ejections. God is removing the mast from your garden because your roots are growing deeper, and false proximity would poison your fruit. The pruning is divine. The grief is sacred. They will look at you with confusion, perhaps even anger. They will try to rewrite the story in their favor. But you will not need to defend yourself. Your silence will thunder with the power of heaven, and the truth will haunt every word they speak. You have passed the test. You did not betray in return. You simply endured, and now the heavens are responding. You will notice strange blessings blooming in unexpected places, divine compensation, sacred reversals, unusual favor. This is not coincidence. It is restoration. For every seed they buried in bitterness, heaven has assigned a double portion of harvest. For every delay caused by their interference, a divine acceleration is being unleashed. The scorched places will bloom with gold. The ashes will testify. Now you walk differently. The fire has changed your gait. You are no longer available to the patterns that once dimmed you. You have become untouchable to the spirits that once found shelter near you. There is a seal on your spirit that burns the hands of those who approach with masked intentions. You are no longer a host to parasites of peace. You are a sword. The light in your eyes is not just clarity, it is vengeance wrapped in divine love. The one who sees all has spoken, and nothing they do now can undo what has already been written in fire. Their name was once intertwined with your journey. But now, their name is a footnote in a story you've already outgrown. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them feel the heat. Because when Archangel Michael unsheathes his sword, false alliances cannot survive. The flame has exposed the mask. The time of pretending is over. It begins in silence so thick it presses against your chest like an unseen hand. The world holds its breath, and you feel it, not in your ears, but in your bones. The stillness isn't peace. It's the moment before the skies tear open. Something is descending, and it isn't gentle. You look up, and though the sky seems unchanged, the air vibrates with the charge of approaching power. Something ancient and eternal has taken notice, and it is not coming to negotiate. The heavens have opened a corridor, and through it, a voice so vast it cannot be heard, it is only felt, crashing through your spirit like 1,000 storms converging. This is not imagination. This is divine response. Archangel Michael says the throne has spoken your name, and the decree has already been written in the fire that the angels carry. What was delayed is now being accelerated, because the injustice against you echoed too loudly in the chambers of heaven. The time for waiting has ended. Heaven will not allow your name to remain entangled in the wrong story any longer. The sky cracks, not like thunder, but like a curtain being torn apart from top to bottom. You feel it ripple through time. The fabric of your destiny, once twisted by unseen hands, is being rewoven midair. The lightning does not strike the earth, it strikes the contracts written in secret, burning them to ash before they can finish their final sentence. And in the gap where those lies once lived, truth rushes in like a roaring flood. God says this is not just your breakthrough, it is your divine unveiling. You are not simply being rescued. You are being revealed. For too long, your worth was hidden beneath the debris of spiritual sabotage. Now the veil is pulled back, and who you truly are stands in full, blinding clarity, too bright for those who fed on your hesitation. You are the storm they tried to silence. You are the prophecy they mocked in private. You are the miracle they didn't believe could happen. And now, the very sky has chosen to testify on your behalf. The heavens don't just open for anyone. But for you, the realm of angels has bent, because your name is tied to something that must be fulfilled. The voice that breaks the sky is not angry, it is righteous. It does not scream. It declares. And every spirit that once whispered against you flees at the sound. Those who sat comfortably in your delay now tremble in the shadow of what they tried to stop. Your elevation is not subtle, it is a celestial announcement, loud enough to rupture strongholds generations deep. Archangel Michael says your enemies have seen your rise in dreams, though they didn't understand it. That's why they tightened their grip. That's why they surrounded you with false peace. But now, the grip is broken, the illusion undone, and you are standing in a field of broken chains with light pouring from your hands. You never needed revenge. You only needed release. The storm that surrounds you is not to destroy, it is to clear. Every lie spoken over your purpose is being shattered midair, dissolved by lightning shaped like truth. The ancestors have stirred. The watchers have stepped forward. The winds now recognize you as one who walks with divine authority, no longer bound by past agreements or false alignments. You hear the winds change direction. You feel the shift. This is not emotional, it is spiritual physics being rewritten. You were once a subject in someone else's story. But now, the pen is in your hand, and heaven is guiding every stroke. The divine voice has cracked the ceiling, and there's no returning to the silence that once imprisoned your cry. The people who used your humility as a hiding place will feel exposed. The systems that benefited from your invisibility will collapse in your presence. Not because you demanded power, but because the power has always been yours, and now nothing can hide it. You are no longer dimmed. You are divine illumination walking on earth. You'll begin to see strange movements around you, people backing away, sudden exits, walls closing where once there were open arms. Let them fall away. These are not punishments. They are divine clearings. The environment you need cannot be built on lies, and heaven has decided you will no longer share space with deception, no matter how familiar. God says this voice from the heavens is your restoration cry. Not a whisper, not a wish, but a command that echoes through the realms. What was stolen is returning in ways you could never orchestrate. What was delayed is rushing forward like a chariot on fire. The places where you were forgotten will now echo with your name, but not the version they knew, the revealed, transformed, fire-etched version. There is a price to power, and you have paid it in silence, in tears, in lonely nights where even your prayers felt like echoes. But now, the answer has come, not gently, not softly, but with the full force of heaven behind it. You have become untouchable in spirit. Your path is no longer negotiable. Those who attempt to block it will find themselves moved, not by your hand, but by the hand of divine authority. Archangel Michael stands beside you now, not as a symbol, but as a presence. You may feel heat, pressure, the hum of battle around you. That is not fear. That is heaven guarding its investment. You carry something that must reach its destination. And no voice from earth or hell has the rank to deny it anymore. The sky has cracked. The voice has spoken. The miracle is not approaching, it is upon you. You are no longer walking on familiar ground. The hour has fractured, and time itself bends to the pressure of what is being born inside you. What you feel now isn't fear, it is the magnitude of heaven pressing into earth through your spirit, forcing out everything that can no longer stay. The breaking has begun. Your heart may tremble, but this is not weakness, it is the tremor before the chains shatter. The world around you may misinterpret your silence as defeat, but inside, the roar has begun. You are no longer surviving. You are shedding. Everything that once defined you, your mistakes, their labels, their assumptions, is being torn away by the holy violence of divine refinement. God says this is the moment your soul was carved for, the sacred trial, the furnace where pretenders are exposed and the chosen are refined. You were never meant to blend. You were forged in spiritual contradiction, too deep to follow the crowd, too fierce to be buried by betrayal. The tension you've lived with all your life was not dysfunction, it was the fire pulling your truth to the surface. You feel the war now not just around you, but within. The parts of you trained to be small are screaming as they are dragged to the altar. The version of you that made peace with survival is dying. And in its place, the fire-born one is rising, the one who remembers what they were before the world diluted them. You are not evolving. You are returning. Archangel Michael says every hidden battle, every quiet heartbreak, every silent night of spiritual bleeding has not been wasted. It has become incense in the courts of heaven, and now justice demands its offering. The balance is shifting. What was taken in the dark is being repaid in the light, with interest steeped in divine fire. But first, the breaking must finish its work. You will feel abandoned, though you are more watched now than ever before. You will feel like you are losing everything, but this is spiritual subtraction making space for uncontainable glory. This is not grief for what is gone, it is the release of what was always an illusion. The masks you wore to survive cannot walk with you into promise. They must be buried here. The people who once claimed to cover you will be exposed for what they were, distractions, not destinies. Emotional anchors disguised as controllers wrapped in smiles. They cannot follow you into the next dimension of your calling because their presence was tied to your delay. And heaven has no more patience for anything tethered to your spiritual slow death. This is not about punishment. This is sacred extraction. God is not removing people, He is removing parasites. And the pain you feel is not rejection. It is detox. You are purging false agreements, both spoken and unspoken. You are vomiting up every lie that ever told you to dim, to shrink, to wait your turn. This is your breaking hour, and what survives this will be indestructible. The enemy will scream through people. They will accuse, twist, cry foul. They will demand you return to old shapes. But you will not. You cannot. The fire that has entered you will not let you betray yourself again. You will feel like you're standing in a war zone, but the battle has already been decided. This is just the smoke clearing, and the lies gasping for their final breath. Archangel Michael says heaven has set its eyes on you. What breaks now is not you. It is the prison built around you. Every word cursed against your advancement is being turned to ash midair. Every manipulation you swallowed for the sake of peace is being vomited out of your life by the Spirit. You will not end this season the same. You are shedding old laws. You are stepping into divine dominion. Do not fear the silence that comes. It is not abandonment, it is the vacuum left when parasites flee the heat of your transformation. You are not lonely. You are surrounded by angelic witnesses. The isolation is strategic. Heaven has sealed you in so the final stage can be completed without interference. You are being branded in secret so the unveiling can shake the earth. God says this is your final test before release. The shaking will intensify. Doors you thought were certain may slam shut. The familiar may turn cold. But this is not failure. This is separation for consecration. You are being marked as set apart. You are being stripped of every costume, every expectation, every false identity you inherited from trauma and survival. You will cry. Let the tears fall. They are not sorrow. They are birth waters. You are laboring a version of yourself untouched by fear, shame, or manipulation. And when this version stands, no one, no spirit, no voice, no system, will be able to command it to kneel. You will be fully awakened, and the ones who underestimated your silence will tremble at your arrival. You've been obedient when it cost you everything. You've kept going when no one affirmed your strength. You've held on when even your hands bled. Now the breaking hour has come not to punish, but to glorify. You are the living contradiction of every curse that said you'd never make it. You are the proof that God preserves those He calls, even when the fire surrounds them. The storm around you is not your end. It is your exodus. The breaking is brutal because the glory coming is unimaginable. And once this passes, you will not just walk in power. You will become it. Now the wind no longer screams, it bows. The battle, once roaring like wild beasts, has grown still. You stand, bones aching with rebirth, eyes lit with something not of this world. You have survived not just the assault, but the refinement. The storm did not take you. It crowned you. This is the moment they never imagined. The quiet turning of the tide. No fanfare. No witnesses who knew you before. Just the blazing presence of the throne descending, within you, around you, through you. You are not just walking in favor now. You are the favor. You are the answer to promises whispered in ancient tongues long before your birth. God says the throne moves now with you, because your heart is no longer a divided altar. Where confusion once lived, clarity now stands like a lion. Where hesitation hid, holy fire speaks. You have become a vessel that cannot be desecrated. Heaven does not trust just anyone with this level of presence. But you, child of ash and ember, have been proven in silence. The people who thought they could contain you will not recognize you now. They will look, and not see. They will hear your name, but feel dissonance. Because the version of you they opposed has been buried beneath the authority you now carry. This authority is not loud. It does not argue. It does not plead for room. It simply arrives, and everything false begins to collapse. Archangel Michael says your presence now carries weight in the spirit realm. Rooms will shift when you enter, not from your personality, but from the throne walking within your footsteps. The air around you has changed. The earth beneath you knows. The veil between heaven and your breath is thin now, and miracles no longer delay at your door. You are in the realm of divine reversals. What once mocked you will now call your name in desperation. What once excluded you will beg for your voice. Not because of ego, but because heaven has rewritten the narrative. You are not a background figure anymore. You are a divine insertion in spaces that once rejected your calling. Do not marvel at the people returning. They are drawn to the light they once tried to extinguish. You are not obligated to make room. You owe no one your presence. Your destiny was never contingent on their validation. This is not vindication. This is justice. Sacred, irreversible justice written in fire and blood and spirit. God says everything that touches you now must be re-evaluated by heaven. You no longer move through random connections. Every conversation, every step, every opening has been preordained for maximum impact. You are moving in divine precision. You are speaking with words forged in angelic fire. The fear you used to feel when you entered certain rooms? It has fled. You are the atmosphere now. You were broken open so something holy could live where trauma once reigned. You were shattered so glory could have a home. And now you walk as a throne bearer, carrying within you a presence that dismantles deception on sight. People will not understand. They will look at you and see the same frame, but feel eternity breathing behind your eyes. This is why they cannot lie to you anymore. Their masks no longer function near you. Their motives betray them before their mouths do. You carry too much light now. Darkness cannot rehearse its script in your shadow. The throne descends, and all things bow, within you, without you, around you. You have become the disruption. Archangel Michael says the realm you've stepped into is rare. Most turn back at the breaking. Most cling to the false when fire comes. But you let the fire finish. You stayed when it hurt. You waited when your soul begged for shortcuts. And now, you are marked. Not with words. With essence. With command. With heaven's seal. There will be miracles that do not follow natural order. Provisions that appear without explanation. Rooms will feel different when you enter. Technology may glitch. People may weep without knowing why. You are a spiritual anomaly now, a heavenly contradiction in flesh, designed to make the blind see and the proud tremble. But with glory comes gravity. And the Spirit will guard you fiercely. There are places you will not be allowed to go again, even for nostalgia. People you will love from distance. Invitations you will decline because your presence is too weighty to be misused. You are not being isolated, you are being preserved. God says the days of proving yourself are over. The stage is not yours to chase, it is yours to command when called. And it will come. You will not need to strive. The throne moves on divine schedule. And now, you are aligned with it completely. What comes will come quickly. Suddenly. And you will be ready. The betrayal was real, but it birthed sovereignty. The loss was painful, but it cleared the throne room. The silence was heavy, but it built a fortress around your voice. You are no longer the waiting. You are the moment that shifts atmospheres. You are not a victim of warfare, you are a general crowned in spiritual fire. So now, stand. Not as the one who survived, but as the one who has arrived.